Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School and the Black Wealth Boot Camp. I want to take a second to pay tribute to the sisters and basically make a really quick point that won't take much of your time. Right now, we're kind of at a critical juncture in American history. Antonin Scalia on the Supreme Court just recently died, so that's going to give President Obama a chance to nominate a third Supreme Court justice. Now, here's what I need you to understand right now. This is something I just felt like I had to say because I think it's very, very important. It's time to put a black woman on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has been in existence for 227 years, and everybody and their mama has had a chance to have a Supreme Court justice to represent their group, except black women. There's never been a black woman on the Supreme Court, and I think that's wrong. Black women have just given tremendous service to this country over the last several hundred years. Black women have shown more loyalty and more love and support for President Obama and the Democratic Party than anybody else, really to the point of almost, it seems, sometimes being in love with him, which I'm not in agreement with. I don't think you should fall in love with any politician, but if you do fall in love with a politician, you should at least be rewarded for your love. Right before Dorothy Height died, she asked President Obama to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court. He did not do that. In the last appointment, he appointed Elena Kagan, who is a bigot. And I'm not making that up. When Elena Kagan was at Harvard University, and a lot of our Supreme Court justices come from Harvard and Yale, and it's not because they're the only places with smart people. It's because there is a consistent and concerted effort, a very deliberate effort, for people in those institutions to control the power of the highest court in the land. They try to control the White House, and they usually control the Supreme Court. If I'm not mistaken, every single member of the current Supreme Court has attended Harvard or Yale at some point in their lives, which is really downright criminal. That's criminal. That's wrong. You're excluding 99.9% of the American population. You're not a democracy. You're an aristocracy. That's what they do in England with these, with the royal families and all this other stuff. The other thing that's interesting about the Supreme Court, if you look at the history, is that there has been a hugely disproportionate representation of white men and Jews. Jews are about 2% of the population, but they represent, I think, well over 30% of the Supreme Court justices that this country's had. That's kind of insane. That kind of thing doesn't happen by accident. That happens because people make deals in back rooms that allow certain people to maintain control of the political process. And as they maintain control for themselves, they deliberately exclude black people. They don't really want your black ass up in there at all on any level unless you pull a Clarence Thomas and you wholeheartedly, full-throatedly represent the agenda of another group of people. Clarence Thomas, if you look at his record as a Supreme Court justice, he's woefully underqualified. He pretty much copied Antonin Scalia on almost every vote. He rarely speaks during oral arguments because he's not a smart man. He's basically a puppet. He's a Negro puppet. He's straight off the plantation. That's what he is. Thurgood Marshall was not that guy. Clarence Thomas is that guy. He is the guy that pretty much might as well not even be black. I don't know what he represents, but he doesn't represent black people. So black men, to some extent, are underrepresented as well. But black women, it's been 227 years, and right before Dorothy Height died, she asked President Obama to put a black woman on the Supreme Court, and I think that we should honor that. I think that black women are among the highest achieving group of people in this country. There's no reason that you could probably find hundreds of qualified black women who could be Supreme Court justices, maybe thousands. There are so many brilliant black female attorneys and judges and all kinds of other stuff all over the country. You can find it. The question is, do you want to look for it? Or do you want to do like Elena Kagan did, where she was the dean at Harvard Law School? And I say she's a bigot for a reason. How can you be dean of Harvard Law School for 6 years and hire 32 people, with 30 of those hires being white males, one of them being a white female, the other one being an Asian? That's sick. That's exclusionary. That's wrong. That's racist. And the thing about it is that black people, we've been so desensitized to our own oppression that we really think that stuff's okay. We will literally let a white person pee all over us and then say, well, he's the lesser of two evils. We're going to support him anyway. We are just so horribly forgiving that other people look at us and they see that as a sign of weakness. They see you as being weak because you let people screw you. So my argument, and if you really think about it, I mean, maybe that's why there hasn't been a black woman on the Supreme Court. Black women don't really get together and cause a fuss over things like that. And I personally think that they should. I think black men should cause a fuss on their behalf. The president can make this appointment. It's his opportunity. It's his chance to shine. It's his chance to repay his most, absolutely without question, his most loyal voting base in this country. Put a black woman on the Supreme Court, period. Elena Kagan, I keep going back to her because that was probably one of the most politically driven appointments I've ever seen, in the sense that they were really playing head games with black people. And that's why I refused. That was the last time I talked to anybody from the White House, because I told them, don't call me with that bullshit. When you call me and you're trying to manipulate my mind and the minds of black people who care about the community, don't call me. Now, if you want to know what I think and you want me to give you meaningful input on this process, then yes, absolutely, call me. I'd love to tell you what I think. But if you're calling me to try to convince me that a woman who did not hire a single black person the entire time she was the dean of Harvard Law School is a good appointment for black people, you can go to hell with that crap. So black people, stand up. Have some pride in yourself. Have some dignity. Stop letting these people walk all over you. The key thing here, people, is that we can't be scared no more. That's the thing. We got to stop being scared. We have to stop being complacent. We have to stop being so forgiving. And sometimes we got to hold a damn grudge. Part of the reason, I could go on and on and on about this. I'm not even going to do it. I'm going to let you guys go, because when I get started, I keep going. And so, and I promised myself I'd only talk for a couple minutes, but we need a black woman on the Supreme Court. It's time to do that. By the way, guys, I'm coming to Chicago on March 26th. The tickets are already selling pretty quick, and our last event was sold out, so you may want to go online and buy your tickets. You can buy them at drboycechicago.com. That's drboycechicago.com. It's going to be an amazing event. It's going to be the world premiere of our new film, Resurrecting Black Wall Street, The Blueprint. I'm also going to do a lecture and a panel discussion and all kinds of other stuff. It's going to be an amazing evening. You won't walk out of there the same person. I guarantee you that much. It's in Chicago at the Harold Washington Center. And I've heard from people who've traveled as far away as Australia and China, and I used to feel strange about that. I'd say, wow, that's a long way to go. But it told me two things. Number one, it told me how hungry we are as a community for something that will lift us out of this psychological, economic, and political and social abyss that we've lived in for so long. And then number two, I concluded that it is worth the trip. I mean, if you're going to make a trip, I think this is worth being the trip that you make. Because I can guarantee you, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I empower you as much as possible before I get old and gray and dead. Tomorrow might be my last day on this planet, and I'm not going out without a fight, and neither should you. In your own life as well. Don't go out without a fight. Just never forget that. Whatever it is, never go out without a fight. So that's it. All right. Well, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Once again, you can buy tickets for the event at drboycechicago.com. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. And let's put a black woman on the Supreme Court. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.